Good morning, it's Saturday 19th of June. I'm back in the reading nook on what is a cool and cloudy day with a couple of parcels. And the next one I'm going to do I've already opened and dug into, but there's yet more to unearth. So we are back with this boxed set. So far, so this is Mercenaries, Spies and Private Eyes, the basically the modern iteration of Tons and Trolls from basically Blade. Essentially, it's a contemporary role-playing game for solitaire or group play. It's a product from Flying Buffalo. So far, I looked at the core rulebook and the scenario border crossing, also for espionage, the basically the Spies role-playing game from Hero Games. And the next thing down is Mugshots, the case of the Pacific Clipper. And this is important, and I didn't know this until I literally just looked at the cover, is written by Dave Arneson, co-designer of Dungeons and Dragons. A complete 1930s solitaire adventure, essentially 20 fully described non-player characters, game master, maps and play aids, Flying Buffalo, and we have a classic basically flying clipper seaplane, so essentially a very stuffy Nazi there on the cover, and so the case of the Pacific Clipper. It's a quiet fall day in San Francisco. The year is 1937. The newspapers are all abuzz with news about the military build-up of Japan and the invasion of China. The offices of the Eureka Detective Agency are open for business, and you're about to be handed the biggest case of your career. Juan T. Knight, the president of Pan Global Airways, has just called and wants you to come down to the airfield to solve a mystery. What's happening to the Pacific Clipper fleet? Is it sabotage, revenge, or maybe even for the insurance? You have no idea, but you bet there's more to this case than meets the eye. Mugshots, the case of the Pacific Clipper, is the first in a series of role-playing books for contemporary adventures. Usable with Mercenaries, Spies and Private Eyes, this book contains a full-length solitaire adventure, game masters, maps and descriptions of plenty of characters in the 1930s for your use in your own contemporary adventures. Let's have a look inside. So essentially this is sort of the area that would have been also been explored in other role-playing games of the period, like Daredevils from Fantasy Games Unlimited. Okay, so we open up inside. Essentially we have the publisher's note with the note by Rick Loomis there. And then we're into the adventure itself. Everything clearly marked as paragraph 6 or paragraph 5 and so on. And Flying Buffalo has a lot of form with the solo adventure book, having published an awful lot of solo adventures for Tunnels and Trolls. And really, one thing that they did more than any other was produce solo adventures. Big market for them, because obviously they offered a chance for people to play without a gaming group. And the other thing is that what they offered at the time, which wasn't being offered elsewhere, was solo adventure books for a rule system. So there were plenty of choose your own adventure books. Basically, many of them published by TSR. Many of them quite collectible, but they had no rules. You really just read through them and you would choose the next path, read them on them, just purely essentially straight text. Unlike those of Tons and Trolls and also of Fighting Fantasy series, which would come later, they had a rule system. So essentially, here we go. basically really quite simple layout, paragraph to paragraph, simple artwork, and then options like this table. Essentially, that there, I'm going to show you, is just a list of all the passengers aboard the Clipper, and then you want to go, oh, we'll investigate each of these. I'm going to go to those particular paragraphs. And so on. So, just to make sure you're in San Francisco, flying boat, and the Golden Gate Bridge. And again, you're just going through. Just again, there's not a huge amount to look at really. I mean, nice artwork. I do like the artwork in this book, basically just flipping through hundreds of paragraphs. You have NPC illustrations, and this sort of classic kind of 1930s poses, sort of like you would expect. Somebody with dark glasses, fedora, and then Japanese soldier there as well, because you're in the Pacific, and the Japanese Empire is on the rise throughout this period. So yeah, and lots of shots, more shots of the Clipper in flight. That's fine, and also in the sea. And then we have cross-section of the Clipper itself there. It's not a particularly good piece or well handled. I think that could have been potentially, that might have been a period piece itself, and could have been better handled. Oh, Nazi submarine there. Could that be something to do with what's going on? And then, basically another signature of the period, airship or Zeppelin, getting complex. So we basically we have flying boats, submarines, airships, and oh my god, strange monsters. And again, basically I'm spoiling this for you essentially if you ever pick this up. But you'd see this anything flipping through, see what's going on, and then we have a section for the game masters. And full stats and backgrounds for each of the major NPCs in the book. So once you play through this, you can take the NPCs and do what you want with them. And that's quite rare to do that. That you basically you play through an adventure book, okay, and the NPCs are never going to appear anywhere else. So yeah, you have here we are. We're up to the 10th NPC. All of them, you can just pull out and use. Werner von Blau almost sounds a parody itself. And when you read, okay, big, pompous and overbearing best sums up von Blau. Yeah, and he looks like it. Um, 15. Basically, 24. 24 different NPCs. Then we've got the island base of Von Braun, because of course it's on Skull Island, because if you're going to have an evil base, it should be on Skull Island. It's a nice little map there of the base, and then we have you've got deck plans of the Clipper itself. Always useful, nice addition there, and so on. So that's the case of Pacific Clipper, designed by Dave Arneson. Wow. I look forward to looking at this in greater depth, because essentially at some point I'm going to dig into this box and explore. Basically, I've got the whole of the line now in this box for essentially Mercenary, Spies and Private Eyes, so I can review the whole lot if I want to, and I will. So yeah, this is actually number 1 in the series, so there are more, I do know that, but again, I've never actually seen a copy of this before. So literally you are seeing my first reaction to seeing something completely new. So thank you again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, please do click the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or questions or feedback, please do take the time to post those. I do read and I do respond, and I appreciate you taking the time to do so, and of course to watching the review, to watching the video itself. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, please click the subscribe button, and then you'll be told about more instances of me being out here in the Nook with a nice hot cup of tea, a book, a box, and me just talking about it for 10 minutes. Thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, and I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.